Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Rafli, Major Teknik Informatika kelas B. Number 1. What is mean by communication is human and communication is progress. Communication is the communication of human meaning between humans. Animal communication clearly lacks bees introduce their needs about where to eat food and make me full dance, and then like companies if been taught to express themselves with the same second language used by deaf human. And on a more general level, pet owner can testify the variously message their animal can express, and communication is a progress. Communication must have a progress because it is impossible for your friend you without a communication progress. Your friend know you because you make introduce and track the progress you get to the know each other. In other words, communication is not a series of identity glued together like a photo in a scrapbook. Rather, it is more like a movement of picture in which meaning comes from the unfolding of a series of interrelated images. The fact that communication is a progress is reflected in the traditional models. Number two, did you know communication is a symbol? Communication is a symbol. Symbols are used to represent things, process, idea, or event in a way that allow communication. The most significant feature of symbol is their articulate nature. For example, there is no logical reason why the letter in a workbook should represent in the object you are reading now. As with words, some nonverbal behaviors throughout arbitrary have clearly agreed upon meaning. For example, for most North America, nodding their hand up down means yes. Number 3. How many tips communication interpersonal communication, which mean you are communication with yourself, like you are talking to yourself about what your plans are for tomorrow, or what good food you are today in the future. Interpersonal communication, where communication between two people, like you, me, and small group communication. Communication where there are several people in this group. Everyone can actively participate with other members. Small groups are the common fixture of everyday life, such as family and athletic team and a group of students working on a class project, and I forget of the others. Public communication. Public communication speak directly in front of many people and does not speak both ways. However, audience often have to the opportunity to ask questions and profit be free comment. And mass communication consists of message transmit to a wide and width include through electronic and print media, newspaper, magazine, television, radio, and so on. Number 4. Communication function. Physical needs. Where communication is not physical is for physical needs, because research say that if we do not communicate, it causes damage to the brain, which affect the well body identity needs, because communication can you how we are now to people and how we behave to other. There is a social needs. There is theory that say the communication is the main purpose of human existence, because humans are social creature. Communication is need a social environment that makes you feel calm, not too lonely, and makes you happy and practical need. Many students show that communication is not important key to effectiveness in a variety in everyday setting. For example, a survey of more than 400 employers identified communication skill as a key characteristic that employers look for in job candidates. Number 5. Communication competence reference to a person's ability to communicate effectively. Communicate itself has an understanding of a person's ability which includes skill, knowledge, and attitude in carrying on certain activities on job in accordance with parental standard having. Competent in communication is people from the variety culture is very important because it avoids in cultural conflict as well as for effect and proper communication. Number 6. Communication characteristics. Broad speaking, communication has two main characters including the following. Communication is human itself. The term communication applied both for reference to communication made by human in the communication progress, the communicator message sender and communicate message recipient. Communication is a progress. Communication occurs continually and continuously, which means that communication is a transitional progress that occurs between the communicate and then communicant. The quality of the progress depends on the participants, include the channel used. Number 7. Good communication is a combination of listening and responding. But in the reality, each party or the lacks listening skill. Someone even they dreaming when someone is talking. Listening to the other person means being completely focused on what is being said and not thinking about anything else. When the other person is expression his thought, they must make its habit not to cut him off but be silent and listening to the sentence be said. This not only allows you to concentrate on listening to what the other person has to say, but also makes him feel appreciated. Body gesture in communication are also an important part of communication. This is important because most of your communication use non-verbal forms. Body gesture can show how communication think of or feel about the communicate. For example, folding arms includes that communication feels defensive of a lack of eye contact intelligence that communication is not interested in continuing the conversation. The communicator is also required to pay attention to his body gesture because the communication can also analyze the communicator through the body gesture displayed. Now we know what communication. It is types communication, fungsi communication. There are still many people who can communication but don't know much about anything from communication. Will there are still many people who can communication but don't know much about anything from communication. Thanks for listening. Helpful everything we share is useful for all of us. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.